Hi friends, it's Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to recreate this adorable fun fold card. This actually has a belly band that slides off. This is super old. You can see how old the DSP is, but it's a favorite of mine because it's so fun. This is actually a regular piece of cardstock, so 5.5 by 8.5. Doesn't look like it though. Has a lot of DSP to make it really fun, and then this super fun belly band. Now we're going to use this really brand new adorable owl celebration stamp set. I think we're going to use this little owl here. This actually was inspired by a card that I saw someone create, and darn it, I cannot remember who it is, but I will give credit when I post it to my blog. I used a lot of the similar colors, but I completely changed the layout. Her card was adorable, but I had to kind of crunch it down because I only had so much paper. And the paper that I used is actually from Forest Friends, so you'll see that as we go along. So we're going to make this on a base of, I almost want to call it Sweet Sorbet. Is it Sweet Sorbet? It is Sweet Sorbet. You know what I was going to call it was Watermelon Wonder for a minute because I always get those two mixed up, and Strawberry Slush. But this is a really cute card, okay? So what you're going to do is when you make this card, you're going to start out, and I'm just going to show you so you are aware of what's going on. We have 8.5 by 5.5. Okay, so nothing changes on that. But what you're going to do is you're going to score it on the 8.5 inch side at 3/4 of an inch, 4 1/4, and 7 1/4. And then the only thing that you really need for this, you're going to need an inside piece, obviously, but you're going to need some layering pieces of DSP. This is virtually endless on what you could do to create this card. So I have several pieces here that I have pre-cut. So they're all about 1/8 of an inch shy on the side, but the length does go to 5.5. Okay, so this is about 5/8 by 5.5. I believe this is an inch. Just verify here. An inch, yep, 1 inch by 5.5, and then this is 2 inches by 5.5. And then I have a piece of 1 inch by 8.5. This is Sahara Sand. This is going to be the belly band, okay? So before we assemble the card, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the owl because we are going to use Stampin' blends, and it's going to need a little bit of time to dry before we can color it. So I just have a little scrap of white. Let me grab my Memento ink, and I'm gonna stamp our, now I am gonna die cut this with the layering circles dies. I believe this is the 1, 2, 3, the 4th largest circle, so I want to make sure that I have enough room that I can die cut this, because sometimes I'll stamp close to the edge and I don't want to run out of room. So this is going to set on the side. The only other thing I'm going to do, and I don't know really what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to stamp my sentiment anyway. And I don't know if I'm going to do it on white or not, but I'm going to stamp it on white just to be sure. And that way, in case I change my mind, I can always go back, but this will be dry and ready to go. I'm just going to stamp it here. Yeah, let me go at the bottom because my circle is not going to go down that far. So there's It's Your Day. Close that up. So this does need to dry. In the meantime, we're going to assemble. I'm also going to cut a piece of a background layer for this. So instead of this was the, I believe this was called the Sparkle Punch. I think it was Sparkle. It was so much fun. I love that punch. I'm so sad they retired it. It was one of my favorites. This is from the Penned, I believe it's the Penned Designs. Let me see. Hold on. Because I was pulling out something I thought would perfectly penciled. Pencils, pens, one and the same. I'm going to cut this out, and this is going to be our background piece. It's a really pretty piece, but I kind of wanted something that would go with it. This kind of mimics the whimsy of the Forest Friends DSP, so I'm going to cut this out as well. So we're going to do both of those dies when I die cut these at the same time. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere. Just turn this sideways. We're going to adhere our DSP. So I'm going to go this way just because it's easier for me to work when it's flat. And again, this is going to go top to bottom. If the narrowness of this border bothers you, you could always take it down a little bit more, but I really like these slim borders. All right, so there's one. Okay, so when you fold this, you're going to have to look at it. And I feel like this might be just a hair off, so I'm going to trim this. All right, so I'm going to go through also at the same time and just reinforce my folds. But you're going to be like, this kind of seems crooked, but it doesn't. So we're going to layer this. Then we're going to have our little heart piece. Here's the other side. So you could always use the mushrooms. But so I'm going to open this up to put it on here. So I find it more helpful to actually put the pieces together as you're doing it and then put them right on. So making sure before it's, yep, that looks good. I must have just slightly, either that or, I know occasionally the paper is just slightly larger than what they say it is. I wonder if this was just slightly over 12 by 12. So there's that piece there. And then finally, we're going to add in our little woodland piece, which is just adorable. The bottom part of this actually has some foresty pieces in it. So, and then the other side is vine. So you want to make sure that when you adhere this, that you get the most out of this part here. So I'm going to center this just slightly more over to the side than this original piece is, but it's more so because I want the little owl to show up in the background there. So this I'm going to kind of leave just like that. So I have about a 1/4 inch border. I'm going to use my finger as a guide. That looks pretty good. And then same thing, I'm just lining it up at the top. Looks pretty even. Press, and then I'm going to get out my big scissors to trim this one, just so I don't botch it. There we go. And then let me just reinforce this fold. This is a super cute card. Now, the only other thing you're going to need is you're definitely going to need a little panel on the inside, which I did not account for. So this is going to be, oops, we're going to be at about 3.5 by 5.5. So I'm going to cut this down to 3 1/4. Now, maybe we'll do 3 3/8. Let me start with 3 3/8. Okay. So 3 3/8. Oops. 5 5.5. Oh, too short. Oopsie. Well, you know what? That one's going to be on the inside, so nobody's going to know except you, me, and the other 8 million people that are watching. So we might have to bring that in. Since it has a 1/4 inch border, we're going to go ahead down. We're going to take, that was 3 3/8. We're going to take that to 3 1/4. That way at least the border matches on all sides. There we go. So we're just going to stick that in. If you wanted to do any stamping on this, but sometimes I'm not sure who I'm going to give these to, so I'm going to leave this blank. All right. So there is most of our card. Now with our belly band, what we're actually going to do is we're going to wrap this around just like so. You want to make sure you have enough room that you can slide it on and off so it's loose enough to slide. Okay, so what I tend to do is I tend to hook these together right before I do them. So I'm going to just give this just a little press, not too much. And then we'll put the rest of this together in a moment. All right, so I'm going to die cut these two things really quickly. Just going to put them on opposite ends. So this one will be down here. And little hoot owl will be over here. And, you know, if I was being smart, I would get my stylish shapes. I could do my little mini banner, but it's not in reach. So I'm just going to run these through. All right. And hopefully these layers will look cute together. I'm sure they'll look just dandy. Okay, I do still have my It's Your Day, so that's over here. All right, so now for our owl. I'm not going to make this too super fancy. I'm going to kind of stick with the tones of the cards that I've chosen. So I have Crumb Cake Light and Dark, and I think since I have the sorbet, I might do a little bit of something with the sorbet. I'm not quite sure what. I'm going to go with Pool Party, I believe. For the eyes, we're going to need a little bit of, we'll go with Light Calypso Coral for the beak. So let's just see where this takes us. So I'm going to do light. I know owls don't have pink beaks, but close enough. They probably also don't have blue eyes, so there's that, right? That was light. I'm going to bring in just a little bit of dark on the bottom edge. Not really getting super fancy with this, just a little bit of something. That kind of looks cute just as is. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this in for the feet as well. So again, that was light Calypso Coral that I used for that. And again, I'm not really an owl expert, so what are we on here? We have light crumb cake. So I'm going to do light around the face. And I'm kind of trying to do a feather-esque, you like that? Feather-esque coloring. Not really coloring it in all the way. That way it's leaving some white space. And then I'm going to do the same on the belly. Almost looks like feathers, just kind of like a little curl, like a little fancy C. And then when I do the darker, I'm actually going to make this definitely a little bit darker. But same thing again. So I'm trying to color. I'm going to bring in a little bit of light to this as well. Color the areas at the edge. Same thing here. We'll just bring just a little bit on the wing and the belly. Kind of go down around here, just like so. And a little bit up here. All right, and then I'm going to come in with my light. See if my brush tip of this one is still inky enough. I may have to just slightly overblend this with my bullet tip. I'm kind of going up just a little bit into the head. So let me come back over on this side. I want to soften out those lines just slightly. So I'm going to come back in with this just a little bit. My brush tip on this one's kind of stinky. There we go. A little bit of brush tip. Time to break out those new blends, Rach. I'm always trying to kind of get the most out of them. Just because, and I'm pretty sure everybody does that, right? You're trying to get the most for your money. And then I'm going to just re-blend the face just a smidge. But it doesn't have to be super colored in. So I did leave a lot of white open, and if you could see this in person, you would understand that it looks different when you're seeing it versus seeing it on the camera. I'm going to try to make sure when I get a photo of this, it's photographed as well as possible, because it really gives a feather-y look to it. So I think that looks super cute. All right, so then we're going to just put this guy. Now, you could do one of two things. I'm going to show you one other thing. I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to glue this down directly. And I think this actually turned out really cute with that little background piece. But I used glitter, that glittered organdy black ribbon on this. So if you wanted to do something like that, you certainly could. I'm not really sure at this point what I would put on there. We do have a white glittered organdy ribbon, which I'm pretty sure is still something that's current. I can't think 100%. So that would look kind of cute, but I almost don't know if it would just deter from the card with the sparkle. Let's see if we can hold this down and just take a peek. Like so. Yeah, that's actually kind of cute. So I think I am going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close this just lightly. You don't want anything super tight. And I'm just putting this on the end so I can see exactly where this goes and not get any glue. So I just have a little bit of glue right on the end there. So lining it up. Oops, come on, lining up. There we go. And I'm just holding the end for a moment. And then what I'm going to do is take my Stampin' Seal Plus, And I'm going to just wrap this. And the reason I'm wrapping it underneath of this is that nothing comes off because we're going to put this one with dimensionals. So we don't have any reason that we think this is going to be removed because we'll also have dimensionals additionally holding this down. And just centering that just like so. Snipping. Make sure nothing's twisted. Looks good. And then let me just grab a couple dimensionals. This will also help to just hold this in place. I'm going to go with 3. I don't know if I necessarily need 3. Let's see. Looks cute. You know what? I'm going to put one more over here. As my grandfather would say, for security. That's why he always kept his cards. When he was playing cards, I'm sure I've told you guys that story before, that he would always keep cards for security. That's what he always said, which was hilarious to me. Okay, so, oh my gosh, adorable. Way more adorable than I thought. And all I'm going to do is finish it off. I'm going to add this little It's Your Day. And I'm just trimming this pretty close. And I'm going to keep the exclamation point. And then I'm going to trim down here. And I'm going to just do my best to pennant this with my scissors. Super cute. Where do we want this? Oh, it looks cute up there. That's where we're going to put it. Just going to put a little bit of glue right there. And perfect. How cute is that? It's Your Day. Now that's going to take a second for that to adhere. However, we're going to just leave this card alone so I don't accidentally wreck it, which sometimes happens. But super, super easy card to make. Really great use of your DSP. Let me put this on so you can see what this one looks like. This really was one of my favorite cards to create. I don't know, it's just something about the yellow and the sparkly black ribbon. Hopefully that white glittered organdy ribbon is still in stock, and I wasn't fibbing to anybody. We did not end up using the sweet sorbet, so I'm going to put those away. That way I don't accidentally list them. We did use light and dark crumb cake. We did use pool party for the eyes. I think I only ended up using, oh, they're both dark. Shocker. I only ended up using dark, and then I used the light calypso coral for the feet and the beak. Super duper adorable. Love this card. So this is a new stamp set that you'll be able to get with a $50 purchase once celebration starts. I believe that is January the 5th is when it starts, and it runs through February 29th. So this is free with a $50 purchase. There are lots of other items in there as well. This does coordinate really nicely though with the Forest Friends DSP, as you can see. Super cute card. I'm sure anyone would love to get this. Would brighten their day immensely. If you haven't already, I would love for you to follow me here on YouTube. If you click the subscribe button and then turn on the notifications, every time I upload a video or do a live video, it will notify you. If you haven't already, you can leave a comment. Let me know which of these cards was your favorite. Was it the toucans from long ago, or was it the cute owls? I think they're adorable either way. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again real soon.